evening, everyone, and welcome to this great online event here at the University of California, Merced. We are coming to you live tonight with a very special program specific about transfer student panelists. We are so excited to give you so much new information about our transfer students, but also we have special guests with us who are current Bobcats who are also coming to us as transfers. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Before we get started, let me give you a couple of quick Zoom reminders. If you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do that in the lower left corner of your screen. If at any time you would like to zoom into one of our screens, click on View Options in the upper portion of your window, and you will have those adjustments there. As I mentioned, we do have a student panel, so we are very excited to get to your questions tonight. And those questions might vary about anything about UC Merced or the student experience. And what better time and better place to ask those than to our student panel at the end of our program. First, we will hop into the campus highlight section. And then, as I mentioned a few times now, we do have a student panel tonight, and we will get into their introductions as well as your questions that they will get to at that time. Right now, I'd like to go ahead and get this presentation started by handing it over to my friend and colleague, Marceni.
Thank you so much, Ricky. Hi, everyone. My name is Marceni Martinez, and I am the transfer advisor for the Northern Central Valley region. So I serve students from the Sacramento area to Modesto area. And a fun fact about me is that I was a transfer student. So let's get started with the presentation. All right, let me start with the rising in rankings at UC Merced. So UC Merced is rising in rankings. It is the fastest growing public research university in the nation and has risen 43 spots in best colleges rankings in the past 2 years, based on US News and World Report. As you can see here, UC Merced is number 5 for creating social mobility for our students and is number 13 for economic diversity of our undergraduate population. So I'll just give you a few more seconds so you can check out the other rankings. All right, let's move on to see some of the reasons why students choose UC Merced. So students choose UC Merced because of its accepting and friendly campus. As a transfer student, I know that was something that I was interested in when I was searching for what campus I wanted to attend. Also, student success support, undergraduate research opportunities, cutting edge technology, having over 200 clubs and organizations, daily campus events, and because it's also close to Yosemite. Let's move on now to tell you a little bit more about our student population. So over 99% of UC Merced students are from California. 30% of them come from Northern California, and 26% from Central California, and 40% are from Southern California. The total enrollment is a little bit over 9,000 students. So out of those 9,104 students, 8,344 are undergraduate students, and there are 760 graduate students. The total transfer student enrollment is 611, and out of all undergraduates, 67% are first generation and 68% are transfer students. And I would like to add that these stats are from fall 2022. Let's now move on to living on campus. So UC Merced is proud to offer housing for 1 year to all new transfer students who meet the necessary application and contracting deadlines stated at housing.ucmerced.edu. But in addition, UC Merced also strives to keep campus as safe as possible. So our full service UC Merced Police Department is always on call. There are emergency blue lights all over campus, which are direct lines to the police dispatcher. So in the event of a critical incident, messages are sent out to students, staff members, and faculty by text message or email immediately using the UCM alert. All right, now let's move on to clubs and organizations at UC Merced. So there are over 200 clubs and organizations. I would like to mention that most of these clubs started by students themselves, that they just wanted to connect with people that had similar interests. And so I'll just name some of them, such as student government, activities and events, fraternity and sorority life, and much, much more. And it's pretty simple to start a club organization if there's not one that you think suits you. You just need to have 4 people, a vice president, president, the secretary, and a treasurer. Let's move on to undergraduate majors. So there are 3 schools at the University of Merced, the School of Engineering, the School of Natural Sciences, and the School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts. There are 31 majors and 34 degrees to choose from. And a fun fact, the top 5 majors are psychology, computer science and engineering, biological science, management and business economics, and applied mathematical sciences. And there's a QR code here on the screen that you can use to learn more about our majors and minors. But I do want to note that the new majors that are listed here on the screen are only available to first-year students starting fall 2024. The electrical engineering will be open for transfer students in fall 2025. And of course, there is always the undeclared option for each school. Let's move on to students here at UC Merced having the opportunity to do research. So students here have the opportunity to do research with faculty. There are over 18 research facilities, institutes, and centers. So for example, MESIS is our NASA affiliated research center. Its mission is to utilize UC Merced's strong nanomaterial-based research programs to help develop highly qualified workers in STEM fields. The center also creates new technologies and solutions for NASA missions. And a fun fact is that the students here and faculty got an opportunity to work with a rover that was sent to Mars back in 2020, and it's currently still up there right now. So let's move on to empowering students. So UC Merced strives to empower students by providing student support services. Students at UC Merced have student services available to them on campus. For example, there is the transfer, returning, and veteran services. We also have services for undocumented students. And in addition, there are other campus resources, for instance, CAPS, which provides students with counseling and psychological services. And there's also student health services and the PopGat Pantry, which provides students with free goods. Basic needs has a direct impact on the mental, emotional, physical health. So it's important for students to have access to this. Next slide. All right, now let's move on to the early transfer opportunity. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So UC Merced is the only University of California to offer an undeclared transfer option to students. So meaning that if you were eligible to attend a UC from high school, you can transfer before you have earned 60 semester or 90 quarter units and complete all of your major preparation. There are 3 different pathways to choose from. So the first undeclared pathway is for students who have taken 15 units or less at a community college or university within a minimum GPA of 2.0 for California residents or 2.8 for non-residents. The second undeclared pathway is for students who have taken anywhere between 16 to 29 units at a community college or again university with a minimum GPA of 2.5 or 2.8 for non-residents. Students will need to have completed their first transferable English and math, or they can also be either in progress or planned. For the major pathway, students will need to have met requirements for their major and also be eligible from high school. I would like to note that if you did not complete your A through G requirements, you can remedy the missing requirements by completing with a grade of C or higher 1 transferable college course for each missing high school subject. And you can learn more by going to admissions.ucmerced.edu/early transfer opportunity. Now we can move on to talk about the minimum junior level requirements. So students will need to complete at least 60 semester or 90 quarter units of UC transferable credit, earn a minimum grade point average of 2.4 or 2.8 for non-residents and UC transferable courses, and take no more than 14 or 21 quarter units of pass or no pass. In addition, students need to complete the 7-course pattern by the end of their spring term prior to fall enrollment. So the 7-course pattern consists of 2 transferable English composition courses, 1 transferable mathematical course, and 4 transferable courses chosen from at least 2 of the following areas, which are the arts and humanities, behavioral and social sciences, or biological and physical sciences. And furthermore, students need to complete the courses required for their major. But please note that there may be some majors that require a higher GPA for admission. Let's move on to transfer admission guarantee, which is also known as a TAG. So UC Merced is one of the 6 participating TAG campuses. California community college students are eligible for UC Merced transfer admission guarantee program. The TAG contracts specify the courses to be completed and GPA you must earn at a community college to be guaranteed admission to UC Merced in the major of your choice. And the benefits of participating in the UC Merced TAG program include having early notification about your admission decision, and also having individualized advising about your major preparation, general education, and or the IGETC requirements. There are 3 steps to apply for the TAG. So number 1, completing your transfer admission planner, also known as a TAP. And then after that, you'll submit your TAG to your intended transfer term. So for the spring TAG, you'll have the month of May to submit the application, and for the fall TAG, you have the whole month of September to submit it. And then last but not least, then you apply for admission. And then let me now go over our transfer initiative program, which is also known as TIP program. And this program was created to increase the number of UC eligible transfer students from the San Joaquin Valley region who enroll at a University of California campus. The TIP program supports transfer students through the application and enrollment process by providing transfer advising, opportunities to explore majors and other transfer options. We are also part of the UC system-wide transfer prep program that works collectively to support underrepresented and first generations transfer students statewide. So if you would like to learn more about our TIP program, feel free to click on the link that someone will be providing shortly on the chat. All right, now that what you all have been waiting for, we can get started with our student panel. And first student that we have is Ms. Shell Salcedo. We'll have her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Salcedo. I'm a transfer student. I'm from Vallejo, California. I transferred from Napa Valley College into Merced College, and from Merced College I transferred into UC Merced. Some things I'm involved in on campus are I'm part of a sorority called Phi Mu. It's actually the biggest sorority on campus. I'm also part of the UC Merced cheer team, and sometimes I dwell into the UC Merced TRB program, and that's about me.
Thank you, Michelle. Now, Felipe, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. My name is Felipe Samarripa. I'm a 5th-year bioengineer student coming from Sacramento. I transferred over from Sacramento City College, and some campus involvements that I participate in is in SHIP. It's a engineering club, and they do a lot of professional development. And that's a quick intro about myself.
Thank you, Felipe. All right, Thomas, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Thomas Kellogg. I'm a computer science and engineering fourth-year student. I'm also minoring in applied mathematics. I'm from Santa Clarita down in LA County in SoCal. I came from the College of the Canyons Community College. I'm the on campus. I'm the founding president of the Electrical Engineering Club. I'm also a software lead for my laboratory's Federal Workforce Challenge as a undergraduate research student. I came to UC Merced because it's much more affordable to live here than places like UCLA. There's also easier access to professors and opportunities, primarily for research ones. And I also appreciate the much safer campus due to we're a much more insular community here.
Thank you, Thomas. And last but not least, Luis, can you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Luis Zaragoza. I am a computer science engineering major. I come from Pittsburgh, California, and my community college I was transferred from was Diablo Valley College, DVC. I am a second-year transfer, a fourth-year standing, and some campus involvements I have. I work at the Transfer Returning and Veteran Student Center, as well as I am part of an organization called La Familia de UC Merced, formerly known as Hermanos Unidos. That's me.
Thank you, Luis. All right, we're going to move on to some of the questions we have for tonight. Let's start with the first one. What does community mean to you, and where do you find it at UC Merced?
To me, community means having people around you who are willing to help, willing to lend a hand, and somebody that you can find support in. And I myself find that in my class environments. I've had the chance to create study groups with other students where we just work on homework, work on assignments, and we have each other to bounce ideas off of each other. And it's been a huge help academic-wise.
I'd love to go as well. For me, community means that sense of belonging that one finds within a space where, much like Felipe said, where you can find support and just that ability to be able to feel like you're part of a greater whole. And in terms of where I found it in UC Merced, I ended up finding it in two places, one being from the Transfer Returning and Veteran Student Center, which I frequent very often, and as well from the organization that I am with, which is in La Familia, the UC Merced, which has been an incredible resource to just genuinely help me feel more connected to the school and to the environment.
I think Luis kind of mentioned it a little bit, but or anyone else that has not mentioned this, who or what was the most helpful resource to you in helping you get to UC Merced?
For me personally, the financial aid office was really helpful in my transfer process. I actually transferred very last minute. When I moved to Merced, I originally planned to attend Merced College fully until I was done with my associates, but they pushed me over to UC Merced, and the financial aid office helped me through the application process for everything, and it just made it it made it a very smooth process, given I only had about 20 days to make my entire application and turn it in and perfect it. So they helped a lot.
Does anyone else? Oh, Felipe.
Yeah, a huge help for me was my academic advisor. She helped ease that process of figuring out what my first schedule was going to be like. And I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. And she basically laid out a plan for me and helped me figure out what was the best classes to start off with. And it helped create helped me ease into the whole school transfer process.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Here's another question. Does UC Merced have a transfer abroad program? If so, what are the requirements and destinations? Can transfer students study abroad?
We do have a exchange program called ACDC, where students are able to go study in our out campus over in Washington, D.C. I have a couple of friends who have done the program. It's an excellent opportunity. You go study out there for a semester, and you get to meet other students from the other UCs who are also working out there. That is one of the opportunities that I'm aware of. I definitely recommend it if you're considering it.
And I kind of also add to that. So yes, UC Merced does have UC Study Abroad. All students wanting to study abroad have the same programs to choose from. Just countries may be limited by major, and transfer students can also study abroad. If you're interested in studying abroad, then we can drop a link right now in the chat so you can get more information. I'll move on to the next question. Someone asks, what's the campus size like and how are class sizes?
I can take this one. So in terms of campus size, our campus size is relatively compact in the sense that our campus is a little longer wise, so you'll certainly get a nice walk-in from anywhere. Classes can range from about a good 10 to 12-minute walk, depending on how quick you walk. And from there, class sizes can range anything depending on the size of, depending on the type of class, whether that would be an upper div class to a lower div class. It could range anywhere from up to 30 students to as much as a seminar class, which could include 70 plus students.
And I have another question. So for the STEM students, how are UC Merced classes different from community college classes? And what are the expectations?
I'll take a crack at this one. In my experience, when I transferred to UC Merced from my community college, I found that the STEM classes it generally varied by the professor's teaching style, but I found them a lot more manageable than community college because by the time I got here, I'd already completed all of my lower division classes. And the upper divs are where you're allowed to specialize and start working on what you really enjoy. And you'll also meet professors who really enjoy what you're teaching. So I found that overall, there's a bit of a higher expectation for quality because you are starting to get to the higher levels, but at the same time, there's a bigger support network between, I'd say, you and your fellow classmates and your professors, because everybody at that point really wants to be there.
Anyone else want to add on to that?
One difference that I did see is that how Thomas was talking about, that there is more quality, that we look for more quality, I guess, in the terms of the STEM classes. We do more projects. We work on more projects, and I really like that because they incorporate that research aspect where you look more outside of just the classroom and you can look at articles or other topics that are similar to your the class that you're taking, and we end up presenting it as well. So it's ties into that research aspect where you also have to present your results, not just find them. And I really found that very useful.
Thank you. I'll add on to that question. So how would you distinguish yourself in a seminar size class or any class?
I've got a pretty good answer to this one. What I've found is the best way to stand out is to sit in the front, ask a lot of questions, and also go to office hours. Professors absolutely love it when somebody shows a high degree of interest in their subject, or not even just a high degree, just more than the average student. So a good example of this would be my first semester here. I was taking a large class for one of my engineering requirements, and it was a difficult class, so I'd go to office hours a lot, and I got to know the professor really well, and through him, I was able to make an impression on him, and he went on to offer me a position in his lab. So I'd say that the strategy has definitely paid off.
If I may add as well, absolutely everything Thomas said. And in addition to being able to sit in the front, going to office hours, something that sometimes we overlook is the power of Google. You can absolutely look up your professor prior to going to those office hours. A lot of times they do have some publications or some other things that you would be able to look up about said professor to give you a sense of what they are researching, what they're going about. So it gives you a bit of a behind the scenes prior to meeting them if you hadn't already gotten that already, to allow you to be able to have, again, just more of a way to connect with them.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let's move on to the next question. Let's see. A student asks, what makes my PIQs stand out? Well, firstly, I'd say that the PIQs, first I'd tell a student, don't freak out. It's not the PIQs are mainly there for you to add any additional information that you want the reader to know. So don't worry so much about thinking that you need to make it sound like perfect. Again, it's just there for you to give additional information about yourself that you were not able to add during anywhere else in your application. Because you were just mainly able to, put the courses that you've taken, the grades you've received. But again, just pick out the questions that you think are best for you. And remember to actually don't be shy to brag a little bit about yourself. This is your moment to talk about what you've done, what you've accomplished. So that's what I'd say. But if anyone else wants to add something else that you would tell incoming student about their PIQs or any tips or tricks.
I would actually really like to take this one. My friends have sent me many of their PIQs, so I have drafted many PIQs to say the least. And I have found that one of the biggest things that I could recommend to help your PIQ really stand out, of course, definitely picking the right questions for you. The other thing is making sure that you really spend the time necessary for it. And it's not to say, again, that you're trying to make the perfect copy or anything of that nature. Just there is a difference in the quality that really helps when you have taken the time. And it's a beautiful thing as well when you have taken the time, because not only do you end up learning a lot about yourself in this process, you're able to communicate such a beautiful story about yourself because of countless revisions and being able to see that. Because if you can impress yourself about where you've been, chances are the people reading the committee reading your PIQ would also as well say, wow, this individual, they really did spend the time. It doesn't have to be a sob story, and it can be something as just something you're passionate about, or how you go about it. Just the general thing is making sure you do spend the time versus like a week before, for example.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'd also add, make sure you first open up like a Word document or something and type them up there. Because there are many times when students say that, yeah, they may type it up, and then for somehow, if you take a certain amount of time, it will log you out and it won't save your what you've already typed. So first type it off like on a Word document, and then you'll be able to copy and paste it into your application. Does anyone else want to add to that? If not, we can move on to the next question, which is, what are some tips that have helped you become a better student as you entered more difficult classes?
I can take this one. Some stuff that I do, I mean, especially because I have a learning disability, so I have a hard time focusing on a lot of my stuff. I tend to stay a lot in the library just because they have like quiet rooms and like cubbies where you can be by yourself. I tend to like rid myself of distractions, usually putting my phone away. I also go a lot to my teacher's office hours because those really do help. I think a lot of people don't end up going to those office hours. So in terms of like spending time with my teacher, I think I spend like the full 2 hours there with her. So I really would recommend people showing up to those office hours because you just never know what you're gonna get from the professors. But definitely knowing like putting time aside, making sure you put time aside to finish your assignments and making sure you're meeting these deadlines and planning out your week so that you don't fall behind.
Yeah, thank you. I know many of you have mentioned office hours, and I think that's a very important it was really good advice because as you all have mentioned as well, since UC Merced is one of the smaller campuses, you really get that opportunity to go into office hours and that they will be available to be with you. And as you all have mentioned as well, you built those connections, and then like Thomas said, he was offered, some what was it, like a job that you mentioned? But
It was a research fellowship, actually.
yeah, so if when it's a bigger campus, it can happen, but it's a little bit sometimes probably harder. So if Thomas would have probably been at a bigger campus, he probably wouldn't have had that opportunity, but thankfully he had the opportunity here. We can move on to the next question if no one else wants to add to that. Okay, there's a question here that is, what type disabled students accommodations are given at UC Merced?
I'll take that one. So one thing that I really do that I get from UC Merced is the student disability accessibility services. So basically, when I have like exams, I go into like a private room and there's someone that's proctoring our exams. And so I basically take my exams in a private room where it's quiet. I get extended time. I get usually like if it's an online exam, the professor will usually print them out for me because I don't like doing the exams on computer just because they add to my test anxiety. So those are a few options they have, and then they also have like extended tutoring within that program. Like they offer a lot of support. You know, if you need any accommodations where if you don't you get anxious during that your exam, you have to get up and leave. Your professors and the people working at the location will organize a time for you to come and retake your test. I know this semester I've had to reschedule at least 2 exams because of either I got sick, there was time conflicts, or I just felt really nervous for some reason. You know, test anxiety. So that's a really good program to start or to go to if you need that extra help with your services.
Thanks, Michelle. Let's move on to the next question. So was UC Merced your first choice campus? Why did you choose UC Merced?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, UC Merced was not my first choice, although it was part of my top three. And the reason why I chose UC Merced, I actually went to Bobcat Day. Um, and in that day, it was essentially an open campus experience where I got to see some of the clubs and organizations as well as the services that were available. And as I walked around, I noticed that there was a lot of uh, very familiar feelings of being around as I come from an area where it's a little more Latin American based. I noticed that there was a lot more Latin American and a lot more cultural, different cultures in this space, and it was really intriguing to me as I was usually one of the few within my particular major, and just to see that the diversity within the space just really won me over. I absolutely like fell in love from that time, and I was like, this is the school.
All right, I'll go next. So my dream school was actually UC Davis. But that was before I knew about UC Merced. You know, I was back in like 2016 when I first kind of like started hearing about UC Merced, but I still wasn't sure where it was. I didn't even know where Merced was, but that's just, you know, I never really left like my town, if that makes sense. So I just never know where places were. But then when I had decided to transfer, since I was already in Merced, you know, they suggested UC Merced, and I had applied for UC Merced and I had applied for UC Santa Cruz. You know, and I was hoping more for UC Merced just because I didn't want to move to Santa Cruz. Because I'd just be going closer to home, whereas I kind of wanted to move out somewhere where it was I was unfamiliar with and it was a new demographic. So when I made it out to Merced and I started like walking around campus, you know, before I even knew I was even admitted into the school, I just felt comfortable. The school was nice and calm, and you know, given my learning disability, that's the type of atmosphere that I felt that I needed. Whereas I felt like a school like UC Santa Cruz would have just been too overwhelming for me, and I don't mean that in a bad way, just in a sense of like when I walked onto the campus, I felt peace, if that makes sense.
Thank you for sharing. Well, I'm happy that that you're here at UC Merced, and I'm so glad that you took a tour before, you know, deciding where you wanted to go, because taking a tour can really make all the difference. You know, you get to really see it in person other than just what we can find online. So let's move on to the next question. Felipe, how do you feel about the food options on campus? Or do you like campus dining?
Yes, I go during my breaks. I usually work in the morning and then I have class in the afternoon. So I do like to go to the pavilion. And one thing that I like is that they have a lot of variety. You have up to like 3 different options. They have 3 different meals that they prep for breakfast and then lunch. And one thing I really do like is they're also very inclusive of like people's different diets because they have vegetarian options every single day. And I like that because sometimes I like to switch it up. And another thing is that they also have other taco trucks or outside food that comes by. So if I want to try something different, like one time they had a Brazilian food truck and I had never had Brazilian food, and it was honestly one of the best lunches I had. And that's what I really like. They switch it up and it's pretty good.
Thank you for sharing. Um, have you utilized the student services? If so, how beneficial have they been? This question is for anyone.
I've pretty heavily utilized the transfer student services here on campus. We have a student center for transfer, returning, and veteran students, and we run various events for the student body. One of our most popular events is bringing on puppies and kittens to campus for everyone to come around and pet. I myself work for the center. I got offered a job there, and I'd say it's probably one of the best decisions I've made to accept it because it's absolutely amazing work environment and an absolutely amazing environment for the students who come in too.
For me, one of my favorite student services is the Bobcat Pantry. And this is where they have the pantry for students who like to get free groceries every week. And they have milk, yogurt, all types of different veggies. And I like going there because it also gives me ideas of like what I can cook throughout the week. And they give out granola bars, snacks to also help you keep going through like your classes, you know, throw some of those in your backpack, some Cheez-Its. And yeah, I've always appreciated that service that they have here at the UC Merced.
That's awesome. Yeah, always take advantage of good snacks because that will also help you in your classes. How does the environment at UC Merced differ from other campuses?
I'll take this one. Like I had mentioned previously, you know, the amount of students that are on campus is a little less than in other campuses. In high school, I did take like field trips to UC Davis, Sac State, Stanford, and UC Berkeley, and it's the ambience is like a lot more not fuller, but it's just there's a lot going on. Whereas here, like I said, you have more of a calm environment. There's still a lot going on our campus, yes, but just at it's the way that I explain it is it's not overbearing and loud. It's a nice, calm. It's a nice calm environment. It's not all in your face. There's still so much going on campus, and you can find so much to do here, but it's just there's not an overwhelming amount of things that are happening around you at once.
Thank you. How available are internship opportunities at UC Merced?
I'll fill this one. There are a lot of different opportunities available. For starters, we have the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Center, which is a larger organization that will allow or it'll connect students with the different programs that we have running on campus. They also run a summer research fellowship. That's what I participated in. It'll run over the summer. Students will receive a stipend and they will do work in one of the faculty members' labs. That also, as on a case-by-case basis, will offer free housing and food for students if they can demonstrate a financial need for it over the summer, of course. And this is only for the summer. Keep in mind, they're not going to pay for your semester regular housing. In addition to UROC, there is also the independent study courses that are offered. If you find a professor who's doing work that you find interesting, you can approach them and ask if you can work in their lab for credit or for pay, depending on what you prefer. And if you can come to an agreement with them, then there you go. That's another opportunity. And finally, I know for bioengineering students, we have a very impressive stem cell research program that's been running for a couple of years now, and it provides a stipend and lots of research opportunities. It is very intensive, though. Keep in mind, you will have to take classes, you will have to complete reports to keep receiving funding, but overall, I'd say it's a great resource.
We also have some other outside organization called Open Avenues that allows you to have micro internships during the semester. I'm currently being a part of one of those right now, and I get to work with somebody from a genetics research lab, and we get to learn about reading RNA sequencing. So we get kind of more of an outside experience as well. And the best part is it's all remote, so we get to learn some more things just by staying on campus, working on your computer, and it's a great outside opportunity.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. What is on or off campus housing like? Maybe any of you want to share.
Yes, of course. So my first year as a transfer here, I ended up actually getting off-campus housing, and my off-campus housing experience was relatively smooth in the sense that there was different things that I was able to do in order to find it, such as going through whether it be Facebook or some other locals within the area that were able to better direct me to finding said housing. And most of the housing I found was about 7 to 10 minutes away, even 15 from the university. And it's a really nice transition, especially because a lot of the times you end up finding spaces where other UC Merced students as well will be. So you may end up finding the ability to be able to potentially bond with them as well, create ride groups, and even just maybe even take the bus together, for we do have things like cat tracks as well in the event that you don't have a car that is able to actually help you get to and from the university.
Do the rest of you live on campus, or if so, how has that been for you?
I lived on campus my first semester. Oh, do you want to go, Michelle?
You can go ahead and go first.
Okay. I lived on campus my first 2 semesters here. I would say it was a pretty pleasant experience overall. There's a couple of different buildings around campus that well, they're different housing buildings with different architecture plans. I was put in Valley Terraces, which is more of a family style where you have a couple of different rooms for people that will branch into a main living room and shared bathroom, which I think was a lot preferable to the more traditional styles where you have a bunch of rooms on one floor that'll share a communal bathroom, but that's my personal preference. I did particularly enjoy having a living room. It was a nice little communal space for people to meet and play games. And also living on a campus meant that we were just a very short walk away from both the cafeterias and the gym and also our classes. So it was very, very convenient. Overall, I definitely enjoyed it, but I do prefer living off campus because it's definitely here in Merced, you can get very, very affordable off campus housing.
So my situation's a little different. Because I live with not family per se, but you know they're very close to me. So when I moved out here, I kind of had somewhere to go. But in terms of like if I had to choose on campus or off campus living, I probably would like on campus. But that's just because I wake up late. And if I just lived on campus, it's just easy get up and go versus having to get up, get out of my house, and drive to campus and do the whole thing. Um, but it's definitely an interesting thing, like especially when I moved out of my parents' house, moving in with people like I already knew who they were, but we're still all different in the way we were raised, and like I know we sometimes get into like a little argument about like what goes in the refrigerator and what doesn't go in the refrigerator. Like we got into it wasn't an argument, but it was like a little disagreement. I think bread doesn't go into the refrigerator and they do, and I'm just like doesn't make sense. But relatively like you know in terms of like bus scheduling, bus placements, like you know it's easy to get around. I know right now I don't have a car, so I'm either carpooling or like I'm walking or bus stop. You know, cab tracks is um, all around Merced, and since I live downtown, so there's like one like right down the street. So it kind of helps, but it helps that I have a ride here. So
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I love the 3 different experiences. I'll move on to the next question, which is the gym or on-campus communal resources limited in hours of operation?
From my experience, the gym is limited and that it opens at 6 a.m. in the morning and closes at, I think, 2 a.m. Next morning. So I have been there when it starts, but it's not necessarily like it doesn't close in the middle of the day. You should have pretty ready access to it. I can't speak for most of the other on-campus resources. I know that most offices close generally around 5 or 6 in the PM, and then other resources like the lounge will close closer to 8 p.m.
And so yeah, I'm going to talk about the gym, I guess, mainly. In terms of the gym, I think it's you know, we're students, so they probably don't expect us to be there like between those hours that they are closed. But what I really like about the gym is that they do have separate hours for women. So we have 2 separate gyms. There's one in SAC and one in the main building. The SAC building on Monday through Fridays is closed off from 12 to 2 p.m. for women only hours. And then Sundays, I believe 4 to 7, they're women only. And then they also have things like cycling classes, ab workout classes, strengthening classes, weightlifting classes. The pool is also available to students. I know last semester they were charging for the classes and to use the pool, but this semester it's all in our tuition. So you're able to sign up for like any type of classes that you want. And they have classes ranging from like the 6:30 a.m. up until about 9 p.m. So you're able to go in and you know get your workout in. Personally, I use the women only hours a lot just because the men tend to hog up a lot of the heavy lifting weights sections, and so those women hours really do come in handy when it comes to like getting in a workout. So
That's nice. Thank you for sharing those hours. I can move on to the next question. So let's talk about some of it. I think one of you mentioned the TRV. Can any of you guys talk a little bit more about the TRV or what they offer there for students?
Absolutely. So the TRV, or the Transfer Returning and Veteran Student Center, We offer anything from free printing to snacks to Scantrons, Blue Books, and a general space for community. A lot of times we end up finding our department to be a very diverse one in that we have a melting pot of different majors, ages at times, and as well just different personalities that just go really well together. And as well, I would like to add that our coordinator, Julie Bishop, is one of the ultimate resources, I would say, in terms of the center itself, as she's very yes and, as like, I will help you, and let's hear how we can go about helping you, in that we can find you where you need to go, and what you may need to get into, especially again being that you are transfer students.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit about it too. So I don't work there, but I frequently go in. I know in the spring semester when I first transferred into UC Merced, I spent a lot of time there, mainly because I didn't know where I kind of belonged, and I think TRB kind of like helped me ease into like the transfer process, finding people that kind of connect to, not feeling left behind because of like my age or because of I'm a transfer student, so obviously and I don't know, it helped me a lot to just feel more comfortable coming in as a transfer student. A lot of people that did come in either in the fall or spring were first years, and obviously I'm not a first year. So it just helped me through that transitional process of just remembering that we all have a different pace and we're all on a different journey, and I shouldn't feel bad about where I am in my journey and where I am in my process to graduating, because at the end of the day, like, I'm still there, we're still getting there, I'm just at a different pace. But TRV definitely helped me feel comfortable, and they had open arms, and I felt like I was at home.
Thank you for sharing. Next question is it hard to get a spot for STEM classes, as in do they fill up fast?
Oh, yes. From my experience, the STEM classes do tend to fill out very quickly. What I found worked the best for me to deal with this was when I transferred here, I looked at the My Degree path, which had a list of all the classes you needed and then all the prerequisites for those classes. And I built a plan of what classes I would take each semester until I graduated. And in addition to alternatives, just in case I wasn't able to get into some of those classes for a particular semester. And at the exact moment that my registration time would open up, because it will tell you on your registration portal when your registration time begins, I would just immediately drop whatever I was doing and go register. And so far, that's worked really well for me. I have not had to alter my plans all that much because I've just been able to get into the courses I've needed. One thing I will warn you is that when you register for classes, you do have to register for lab sections as well most of the time. And sometimes their times will be moved around or just canceled after the deadline to register. So just keep an eye out. They will email you if that happens. I did wind up having to change one of my classes with another one because of that, but I was able to land on my feet because of the plan. But just do be aware that you do need to monitor it.
Thanks. Let's move on to this other question that a student asks, what is there to do off campus?
Well, I guess I'll take this one too. So since I mean, like I said, I live downtown, so I literally live like right next to everything that pretty much Merced has to offer. The movie theaters down here, we have Joystick as well. It's an arcade. And it's pretty cool. Like, they're open, like, not super late, but they're open late, so you can take the bus or drive down to downtown Merced, and you can go there and have fun. There's frequently a lot of like flea markets on like Saturday mornings where they offer like just like things to buy, fruits and stuff. And then on campus events too, we have like a lot of cabs does like a lot of concerts. They just did a Halloween one a week or two ago. I know last year they had another event. I think if anybody is familiar with Rico Nessie, she was here. So there's a lot of things to do in Merced. You just have to kind of like not look, but there's a lot to do here. And in terms of like other stuff, like if you go out with friends, you should with fraternity and sorority life. For me personally, I go out to eat a lot with my friends or my sisters from my sorority, if I would say. So there's a lot of places to go eat. And then you can take like usually if I don't want to drive there, I take the Amtrak to like Fresno and go to the mall there and or come back. So Merced is like a good place to either go to Modesto or Fresno where there's things to do, or you can find something cool to do within your own housing area.
Thank you for sharing. So that was the last question we had for tonight. I do want to thank the student panelists for being here tonight and for sharing your experiences. I will now pass it on to Ricky to finish us off for tonight.
Thank you so much, Marceni, and of course to all of our fantastic student panelists. We always love when you all join us, and we certainly hope that our audience has been able to get not only all of their questions answered tonight, but the very special and unique insight that only our students can give. So current Bobcats, and in this case, all transfer students. So what a wonderful experience this has been for all of us. On your screen quickly here before we do wrap up, you do have all the contact information that you may need. You also have social media platforms there, all of our handles that you can follow. So go ahead and take a quick moment, grab your smartphone, take a quick picture for later on. That way you have reference to everything. You do see the Office of Admissions, our email address and phone number that you can reach out to us if you should have any questions. A couple other very quick wrap ups here. We do want to make sure that you are aware and that you have marked your calendar for November 30th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Now, if that date doesn't ring a bell, let me tell you why it should. That is the deadline for the UC admission application deadline for filing. So please make sure that you do mark your calendar and go ahead and get started on that if you haven't already. The other bit of information is that we also have the entire month of November stocked up for you with webinars just like this one, so an hour long, but you can join and ask us any question that you may have about the UC admission application. Hop on over to the events page and you can get yourself registered for one of the upcoming events. A couple that we do actually have coming up have to do with the PIQs, so the personal insight questions. We also have sections specific on the actual application, the portions that you'll be filling out. So the campus and majors we just had earlier this week. So if you do miss out on those on the events page, you can also not only register, but take a look at the instant replays. A couple others we have coming up. I mentioned PIQs. We also have the academic history section. We actually have 2 sessions for activities and awards and scholarships. So make sure that you take a look at that events page to get yourself signed up right away or watch one of the on-demand instant replays. Lastly, I know over in the chat box, we have been dropping like mad some links for you. So take a look there, click on some of those links. One of those has to do with campus tours. So make sure that if you haven't yet had the opportunity to come and visit us in person, that you do sign up for a campus tour. One last little bit, and then I'll let you go for tonight. We do have a very special experience right now available for you from November 1st through the 17th. It is called Experience UC Merced. There is a website that I will go ahead and drop over into the chat box. And thank you so much, Sheila. She beat me to it. So you can go ahead and click on that and get yourself registered. I'll let you kind of peruse that site on your own, but a couple quick bullet points. You'll be able to get a campus tour. Also grab lunch in our dining pavilion that you heard us talk about earlier. The very special event, though, it does actually also give you the opportunity to attend a UC Merced University class. So you can attend the course just like any of the students that were on our panel tonight, sit through that course as if you're a current Bobcat to see if this is the best place for you, which of course we know that it is. So we look forward to you submitting your application very soon. We hope to see you very soon in a campus tour and maybe one of those special events. Thank you so much for joining us. Take a look at those websites, get yourself registered, and best of luck to you on your UC admission application. Once again, a big thank you from me to you for you joining us tonight. We will see you next time. Take care, everyone.